we start talking about a career, like he's like, obviously I know you don't want to be a car porter your whole life. And he was like, what's your passions? And I'm like, basketball and sneakers. And, but he was talking about it. I'm like, I collect shoes and I do this. And he was like, all right, find a way to make money doing it. And I'm like, what does that mean, sir? Rich man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What up, Doe Black Fridays family? Welcome back to another installment of the Black Fridays podcast. Now, before we get into today's episode, I need you to hit that like, subscribe, and comment button, and make sure that you send a video or two to somebody that you know that can get some gems from the series. And so now that we got that business out of the way, I got to introduce y'all to a Michigan legend, Mr. Ro Spit. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you are a multi-hyphenated creative, like in so many different aspects, from being an entrepreneur, being a DJ, being an actor, being an MC. Like we can go so many different ways in terms of like this interview and conversation and things that we've been talking about before we started rolling. But I wanted to first kind of start with, I feel like you are somebody who embodies the epitome of what it means to be a hustler. And I just want to know kind of, how would you define the art of the hustle for Ro Spit? Like, what does that look like for you? What does that mean to you when you hear that?
Just getting up and getting it. You know what I'm saying? Like getting to it. Creating something out of nothing, and just like creating my space, whatever that means. That's and it's like with intent and with never give up attitude. And it's like I set my eye on something, and I go get it, and then find a way to make money doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you kind of, from the research that I've done, that's kind of been ingrained in you from like the way that you grew up, maybe the area that you grew up in. Then also, I know your parents. You mentioned like your mom always had, like, she had a job, but she always had side hustles. Mm-hmm. Pops same way, and then so just wondering, like, how do you feel like it started with you like that, to have that hustler mentality growing up, or did it not really click for you until later in life?
No, it was growing up. It was growing up, and to be honest, my father's hustle was selling drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like just being straight up,
the ultimate hustle.
And but what I saw from that is from both, from my mom and my pops, is the hard work, because the drug business setup is probably one of the best business structures there is. It's just you're doing something illegal. Yeah. But I looked at that and saw that I wanted to do what he was doing, but just find a way to make it legal, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted the things that he had, the BMWs and the chains and the things like that. So that enticed me, and I knew that for the most part there were certain ways to go get it. Right. But I was trying to think, I've always wanted to not go that route, because I saw how his life kind of went. And even like my uncles, his friend, my father's friends, and like his crew, and kind of saw how everything played out. And it's just not a route I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. I went and saw him in jail, and I was like, I'm not trying to be here. Mm-hmm. My mom, on the other hand, showed the hard work the legal way, but it was still a hustle. You know what I'm saying? It was flipping houses. It was having renting. Having renters in the houses. Mm-hmm. She had like a store, like a dollar store type thing at the flea market out our way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But she was always doing something, and it just showed me you gotta have multiple streams of income to kind of have a level of comfort, or have a level of comfort, and freedom. Yeah. And that's what I always wanted. My mom, even my father, other than times that he was locked up, they were always there. Whatever basketball game I had, whatever football game I had, whatever band, like whatever. And it was because of that like those extra things that they had going on that they were able to. And that's one thing I say all the time with my daughters. I've never missed anything. you know, and I kind of like hang my hat on that.
That's super dope. And in terms of the different things that you are involved in and have built over the years, it seems like you've been able to turn your passions or your creativity into your career and your profession. And how, with that hustler mentality, was that the mission to kind of do those things, or did it just kind of work out that way for you where it's like, hey, I have this in mind and I want to go after it? Or was it something that you kind of just fell into? What did that kind of like look like for you as you started to mature or get older?
That's a great question. I think it wasn't all, I can't say that it was always there. I always go back to this one story of I was working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and I was like I didn't have a degree. I didn't graduate, but I had so I worked in the porter or whatever, like transporters, like pick people up from the airport, wash the cars and stuff. And I hated it. And I picked up, but I worked at the one in Troy, I believe. And so we would pick up people in Jaguars and, you know, Benzes and things like that. And I picked up this one guy, and I just would start talking to him. You know, I don't even know how old I was, 21-ish, 22-ish. And I was at a point in my life, I didn't know what was next. I know what I wanted, but it was like, just seemed like this uphill battle I didn't know I was ever going to get. And we started talking, and I'm like, man, you just look like money. You look like you do something special, or like, you know what I mean? And he was like, I can't even remember what he did, but he told me, we would start talking about a career, you know, because he's like, obviously, I know you don't want to be a car porter your whole life. And I'm like, I really don't know. I dropped out of college and this, that, and the third. And he was like, what's your passions? And I'm like, basketball and sneakers. And he said, you know, what, are you going to the NBA, or like, are you going to play professional basketball? I'm like, no, I'm not there. Like that already got in my mind that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Even overseas, like I'm done with that, but I love playing basketball at the time. And then sneakers. And he was like, well, that sounds good. Like, you know, what do you want to do with sneakers? And I'm like, at the time, my whole thought process was franchise a Foot Locker or an Athlete's Foot or something like that. And, but, you know, he was talking about it. I'm like, I collect shoes and I do this. And he was like, all right, find a way to make money doing it. And I'm like, what does that mean, sir? Rich man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, but my mind started going, and within a couple days to a couple weeks, I was I believe it was the Slam magazine with Stephon Marbury and KG on the front, I believe, whatever.
Yep.
And I'm going through it, and I see something that said it was a sneaker boutique called Undefeated. You know, we all know what that is now, but at the time I had no idea. And I'm like, sneaker boutique? Like, what does that even mean? And because I'm thinking, we go to the mall, we go to Foot Locker, we go to Athlete's Foot, Finish Line, things like that. And it's this single store that has special product. It's not in the malls. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I want to do. And then I just kind of start doing things. I need a business plan. All right, look up how to do a business plan. You know, work that out until it got to the point, and then it's kind of like things kept rolling, and the rest is history.
For sure. And we're going to get more into that in a second, but I got to introduce you to my favorite part of Black Fridays, which is Freestyle Friday. So I mean, yeah, y'all about to say. No, I mean, you're an MC. You're an MC and an artist. So so you can do a freestyle, and people have done it before, or we can just do rapid fire questions. It's
rapid fire. All right,
my
rapid day is over. If you got some turntable set up, I'll do whatever.
Do a quick mix.
Yeah,
for sure. So first thing I want to know, so you are from Pontiac, Yaktown. I need to know, what's one important thing you think people should know about Pontiac? It could be historical, it could be about the vibes, it could be about the food, but what's something important you want people to know about Pontiac who have no idea what goes on out there?
First and foremost, I want people in Detroit to know that it's not that far.
It's not.
People, it'd be like, man, that's an hour and a half away. I'm like, nah, bro, I drive that every day. It's 27 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that man, we are a small city with a big heart and a big big hustle. You know, it's the miniature version of Detroit. It's it's like you say, especially coming up when it, wasn't too many people that you kind of knew from Pontiac. And it's like, they think all this stuff like, nah, bro, we wear the same clothes you wear. We do the same. We just kind of do it in our own space, know. That's really it, man. We out there. We've always had a lot of talent. It's a small city mentality where we might fight amongst each other or bicker amongst each other, but as soon as we step away from that and step out of town, we kind of come together like a fist and whether that's fighting, whether that's hustling, whether that's coming together on some business or whatever, because we all got that space in our heart of like, I always talked about like putting Pontiac on the map, like Easy and Dre and them did Compton. Yeah, like we're here. You know what I'm saying? We got something to say. We got talent. We for the most part, it's not as recent in recent years, but we've always had athletes in the top of the state. You know what I'm saying? We've won state championships. You know what I mean? And we here, man, and we got something to say.
For sure. For sure. And speaking in the essence of the soul of a hustler, what would you say is your most random job that you ever had? I know you mentioned enterprise, but do you have a job that get more random than that?
More random. I worked at, that's not really random.
It might be for you.
I worked at Chrysler Financial.
That's random.
That's random. So I worked before I got Burn Rubber. I worked at Chrysler Financial, and I was the worst employee. I was the worst, but it was something about having a union leader that I knew would fight for me. Yeah. And I used that to my advantage, man. I was like, I started, especially when I found out. So I worked there to play. Actually, it's funny, man. I worked there I got Burn Rubber February of 2007, February 14th of 2007. And I worked there until about June-ish, May-June-ish, because there was an intramural basketball game that all the guys there was talking like, man, when we play this game, I'm gonna do it, right? And I'm like, well, I'm playing in this game. I'm not quitting. I'm not leaving until I'm playing this game, right? Yeah. And I stayed there. I would go to work till like 7 a.m. to 3, leave there, go straight to Burn Rubber until close, and did that for however many months. Played in the game, won MVP of the game, right? Yeah. Left the game, went to the grand opening. It was the same day of the store grand opening, re-grand opening for us, and I never went back.
That was your last day?
That was my last day.
And you balled out on them and then.
Balled out and left. And I tell you, it was so crazy. I used to be like, I told, like, towards the end, I told my union rep, he coming in, because my boy. Now, even now, actually, Kamal Smith.
Oh, it was him.
He was, actually, maybe, no, he was like the manager. If you remember, I believe so. If you remember, Kamal had a radio show on whatever, Ike Love and, I forgot. I can't. But his partner on the show
was the union rep.
Got you. But we were all in there, and I'm like, listen, bro, I'm not gonna. I'm supposed to be here at 7. I'm gonna get here about 7:15. Yeah, 7:20. Right. I'm probably gonna leave at 2:55. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if you want to fight for me, cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take my lunch break. I'm gonna be 15 minutes late on my lunch break. I don't care about being here. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm literally here to play. And as long as if you told me I couldn't play in this basketball game,
I would have been gone.
Or if you told me if I'm not on time, I can't play in the game, I'll be there on time every day. Right. And that's what it was.
For sure. That's a hell of a way to leave. And last but not least, what's one thing that you really love and appreciate about Detroit?
Oh man, that attitude of like, similar to what I would say about Pontiac, right? Detroit has been overlooked for years. It's been talked down upon, just as far as the world and the country or whatever. Yeah. For years. And we all knew that it's special here, right? We all knew that. I'm not scared to walk down the street. Yeah, I'm not walking down that street, but just like if I was from Chicago, I wouldn't walk the old block if I wasn't supposed to, right? Sure. Yeah. It's not like that much difference when it comes to that, but we all knew, we have something special from the arts to just from business to sports to like everything. And now that the world is starting to see it, makes it feel so much better. You know what I'm saying? It's like we used to go to trade shows out in Vegas, and they used to clown us. That's when the whole Kwame thing was going on, man. And it's like, man, y'all got it. The train station, like they used to clown us on that, and I'm like, okay, we'll be back one day. You know what I'm saying? Not like we ever left, but So that thought process that if you're from here, you're super proud about it, and like to the point, all these brands, if it say New York on it, I'm not buying it. Yeah. We're not gonna wear it. Right. Yeah, you might see somebody in the Yankees hat. Right. But I'm not wearing, I'm not selling, or like nobody's buying anything unless it says Detroit. Right. And if you don't put Detroit on it, so be it. Exactly. Exactly.
I got homies from other states that I've lived in that when I expose them to Detroit, or if they be exposed before it, they'll leave with some DVE stuff, or they'll leave with something that say Detroit on it, and then they'll rep it because they feel the vibes when they come here.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
So 1,000%. It's real. It's real. Well, thank you for partaking in Freestyle Fridays, even though you ain't freestyle, but next time. So I wanted to get into the story of, you had mentioned Burn Rubber a couple of times in terms of like the circa the time that you had started it, and that had to ramp up. So for those who are not familiar with Burn Rubber, number one, shame on you. But secondly, Burn Rubber is a marquee fashion and sneaker boutique in the Metro Detroit area that's been around since 2007, which is truly amazing. And I got a chance to get engaged with Burn Rubber or learn more about it as I got older, because around that time I was like in high school, and then when I got to college, that's when I really started to pay attention. Didn't have enough money to come shop there, but I got a couple of dollars over the years, and then been able to shop there, and then 218 as well, which is the sister store to Burn Rubber. But wanted to understand your journey to Burn Rubber, and I know you talked about this plenty of times, but if you could just kind of walk us down, like, where were you in life when you got Burn Rubber? How did it come about? And then how businesses transcended over years a little bit.
So when I first got Burn Rubber, I was kind of like at one of the lowest points in my life when it comes to just being lost. Like I was 25-ish, 26-ish, maybe even like 27, but I was still, in my mind, I didn't have a degree. I didn't graduate. So I was going to be working these jobs, getting paid less than, like, even at Chrysler, there was one side of the building that you did, if you didn't have a degree, you got this, and you got paid this amount of money. Yeah. And the other side was, you had a degree, you got paid this amount. You did, and I just figured I would be working jobs like that for the rest of my existence, not knowing how I was going to do it. Like it was times sitting there where I realized, I'm like, I see why people take penitentiary chances. Yeah. Because if you're telling me I have to do this for 30 years, oh man, I'm gonna go shoot for it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm putting the black forces on.
Yeah. I'm going, and if so be it, if whatever happens. Right. Like, I understand how people could get to that point. Right. And then, when I got in that zone of kind of, even before I knew what it actually was, but like just manifesting and the law of attraction, and just kind of like having a thought, visualizing it, and kind of, not only say imagining, just seeing myself in that space, right? Working in the store, being the owner of the store, selling shoes. Like, I was doing that, and like almost to the point where, like, I had rehearsed these things, so when it happened, it was right there for me, right? Yeah. And then, so with that, did a business plan. Try to, in my mind, you go to the bank, show them a business plan, they gonna give you money. That's not the case. Right. Right. So I went to the bank with this crazy business plan. They looked at me like I was crazy. Like, what do you own? Absolutely nothing. The shirt I have on. So they didn't give me the money. And then I kind of just threw it in the drawer, threw the business plan in the drawer. And then Burn Rubber opened up. And it was actually, Burn Rubber's been there since 2004. Okay. Previous owners, and then I started shopping there, and I never worked there, but I started imagining myself kind of being, that's the place I was going. It was what I wanted to do. In my mind, I wanted to be the first one in this area to do it, but so be it. Fast forward a couple years, they were moving. The owners got a promotion and had to move out to the West Coast, and they didn't publicize it to a bunch of people. Luckily, I was in the mix of that, of the people they did, and between me and my business partner, we went to our families, got the money, and bought it. You know what I'm saying? Had no prior knowledge of business or running a store or none of that. It was like, man, since that day, I just been like, I cannot fumble this bag. Yeah. I cannot mess this up, because
that's what you asked for.
Yeah, it's what I asked for, and that's why I don't complain about anything, right? And then the way I always looked at it, which has been that battery in my back, is that like my old business partner, he had a degree. So if we messed it up, he could go get a job. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that he did, but if he ever had to fall back on that degree, he could. I didn't have that. So I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So, and then that's when that thought process, it kind of went back to the hustler spirit of like, all right, well, I rap, make some money rapping. DJ, make some money DJing. Now we designing, now we consulting, now we doing all these things because we saw people in the industry that became our friends and people that we could kind of build off of.
And how did you start to feel the store in terms of what it was that you all wanted it to look and feel? Obviously, because it's more of a community aspect to Burn Rubber and 218 from my experiences, and then also actually getting procurement. How did you figure out what brands to carry, how you're going to carry, and what shoes and sneakers to have in there? What was that process like for you all?
So first and foremost, we decided two things, and it's changed over the years, but the baseline of what Burn Rubber is it was going to be hip hop. It was going to be of the culture, and then we wanted it to feel like your cousin's house, your auntie, uncle, your favorite auntie and uncle house, or you can go over there and you might sit over there for 4 hours and not eat no food. You know what I'm saying? But you might talk about the craziest things. Yeah. You might yell, get mad at your cousin about the fight. Yeah. And then be mad for 2 days and come back and kick it with your cousin again. Right. You know what I mean? We could talk about politics. We could talk about religion. We could talk about sports. We could talk about all these things, and we just made people feel comfortable. And in our mind, it was like, well, if they're comfortable, even if they don't buy anything today, they're going to come back, right, and break bread. But even then, they're going to tell their friends, like, man, just come down, go down there, bro. They cool. Yeah. And that was the whole thing. And then other than that, we were getting the product in that we were wearing. So at the time, at the beginning, it was and really we found out that we would get it at wholesale. That's why we were getting it. That's why we started getting clothes. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So we were wearing Crooks and Castle and 10 Deep. And we would go to these trade shows and see these guys, and nobody else here had that. And we was like, well, that's what we wear. That's what, when I order this from New York and I wear it, everybody asking me about it. So now I can get it for half off. Yeah. And then sell it, make some money, say less. And that's what it was. Other than Nike, Jordan, Adidas, Reebok, all the shoe brands. But as far as clothing, we were just getting what we had been buying the last few years. You know what I mean? That's
dope. And then being able to keep or maybe I should ask this, how were you able to kind of keep a pulse on what people wanted to wear in terms of shoes, sneakers, or did you really just kind of go based off the beat of your own drum and then saying like, well, this is what we find fly, this is what we see our people wearing, so this is what we gonna fill it up with, and we're not really going off no trends?
Yeah, we weren't going off any trend. Like our trends, it may be, I mean, obviously streetwear was a trend. Yeah. But it was not like, it was completely, man, damn, you got that 316 those 316 denim, that was fire. Let's see if we can get it. We, like I said, we were wearing Crooks and Castle. We were wearing 10 Deep. We were wearing, I can't even think of the brands that's kind of come and gone since then. Yeah. But it's what we were wearing. It's what we were buying before we had the store. And I, just between me and my old business partner, we thought we were the freshest guys around. So it's like, my whole life has been a thing of people just kind of like, man, what is Roe into?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe it's just something I give off. I don't particularly try to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, you know, even now, I DJ. I don't hound people to come see me. I'm just telling you where I'm gonna be at.
And then you can come
and
by.
If you come through, I appreciate it. If you don't, you know,
still love.
And I'm still gonna rock out with 3 people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it has always been. So yeah, we were just wearing what we liked and buying what we liked. And you know, I always looked at it like that. If we're leading that I don't even know what the word is, but if we're leading in that area, people will always look to us for it.
Yeah.
You know, even if you make a bad decision, you know what I'm saying, or like, yo, it was I like it. You know what I'm saying? And I can always live with that.
Yeah.
Always live with that.
For sure. And do you feel like, are there any triumphs that you've had over the years in terms of the brand, and then any fumbles that you would be able to share with people who may be interested in being in this space so that they can get the real and both sides of the coin?
Yeah. I mean, I would say my biggest triumph is the Jordan 2.
For sure.
Yeah, that Jordan 2 was special, man. It was something that doing this and doing collaborations with other brands like New Balance and Reebok and Puma and whatever, you know, you still in your mind can imagine it, can manifest it, can visualize it. It's still like, it's probably not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And then to get the call and say like, yo, it's happening. It's like, whoa. And then the whole process till it actually came out and like to be somewhere where somebody doesn't know me, in a complete different state, or just watching television and see somebody wearing a shoe is mind blowing to me, right? So that's the biggest triumph. The biggest. What was it? What was the other fumble? To date, it was probably opening up the first 218. First 218. We had it open for like about a year and a half, maybe. I can't even really remember. And we almost lost Burn Rubber because we lost so much money opening the first 218.
Got you.
So we had to get investors to kind of help us out and get us, you know, kind of funnel some money into it. And, you know, we ended up coming out of it, paying everybody back and whatever, whoop-de-whoop. But that was the scariest I've ever been, of like, man, I fumbled the bag. Or we, whatever. But I like, yeah, man, I was just thinking like, it's over, you know? And that was like 2014, between 2014 and 2015.
And where was the first 218 location?
In Royal Oak, right down the street from the old, you know, where Burn Rubber was.
And then that one shut down, and then you open up in Eastern Market. Yeah. Later.
Yeah, later.
Got you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back to the Jordan collab. How did that even come about? Because you got me to start buying Jordan 2s. I never really checked for Jordan 2s. I never really cared about them. But when I saw that shoe, I'm like, okay, I love the colorway, love the messaging behind it, love everything about it. And I was almost sick because y'all had did a release at Burn Rubber, and then I wasn't able to go that night. It was like a Thursday night release. So I can't remember the exact day, but yeah, it was Thursday night release. And I'm like, damn, I can't make it. And like, I literally like rode by, because I was, I think I was like working on some stuff in Royal Oak, like at a coffee shop or something. Rolled by, line was crazy. I'm like, oh, it's over for me. Yeah. And then y'all had sent out, put on social and the email and saying like, oh, we got some at 218. Tomorrow I'm like, bet, I'll be there. Say no more. So yeah, I was able to get my pair, and always been encouraging other people to get their pairs as well. But how did that whole thing come about? Because that's the story that I've always, now we got the chance to meet, I always wanted to know, like, how did that whole process come together? Yeah, so you know, to kind of start off and then go back, I was literally I was at home and got a call from my rep, and he was like, "Yo, are you sitting down?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm you know," I was like outside, maybe just getting something out of my car or something. But it's like, it's crazy when your rep calls you and you don't know what he's calling for. A little anxiety comes up, you know, because I'm like, dang, did we accidentally sell a shoe early? Like, are we, you know, is he mad at something? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, you got your own SMU, and SMU means special makeup. And I was like, I hung up on him, like,
man, he gotta stop playing, dog. That's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like I'm going, you know what I'm saying? Like life is lifing right now. So he called back like, man, I think something happened. I'm like, nah, I hung up on you. You know what I'm saying? Like don't play with me like that, man.
Yeah.
He was like, nah, bro, you about to do a Jordan 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I couldn't even say nothing, man. I was like, I had so many questions, but I couldn't even formulate words.
Yeah. And
then he was like, I think I was like, how or why or something like that. And he was like, man, so this going back in 2015, 2014 or whatever, when we almost lost Burn Rubber, we were in a bad space, right? Mm-hmm. The store was not in the greatest shape. Mm-hmm. My rep, when he first became my rep, had came into town. He lives in Chicago. I think he's from Chicago. Mm-hmm. Came into town. I was in LA. So he called me like, yo, I'm pulling up to Detroit, whatever. I'm gonna go by the stores. Cool. I forget to call the store, my guys, and tell them like clean up. Make sure every shirt is in the perfect. Yeah. Usually that's what we do. And I forgot to do it. I was in LA moving around doing whatever and just forgot to call. Yep. So then he called me back, and this is one of them anxiety calls. When he called me back, and also Adidas was just in the store. Like the Adidas higher ups was just in the store, and they was like, "Yo, your store is amazing. You're this, that, and this." And I'm like, "Oh, we good." Mm-hmm. So when he called me, he like, "Yo, I really need to talk to you." This is not I've met him before, but he was just becoming my rep. Yep. He's like, yo, listen, I heard a lot of great things about your store, but when I went there, I was thoroughly disappointed. Mm. And I'm like, wait, brother, what are you like? Slow down. And he was like, man, listen, and he started naming all these things off, like, yo, the walls have stains on, like, whatever on them, right? Yeah. This is that. The shoes was all out of whack. Clothes wasn't folded, and the TV. One thing I always remember, he said the TV. Remember back in the day, the TV guide thing, you turn to a channel and the TV guide rolls up. Yeah. Right? He was like, the TV guide thing was on the TV. I didn't even know they still had that on TV. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
he was real thorough.
He was real thorough. Like, and he was like, if you don't fix this in 6 months, fix, some things in 6 months and make it look presentable, I'm taking your Nike and your Jordan account away. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to talk to my boss to do it. I'm just going to do it. And I was like, boom, right? It just hit me like, oh man. So in that next 6 months, I turned everything around. He came back through, was like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I get it. Like, I get what, whatever. And so then that was, 5-6 years later, mm-hmm. He told me on the phone, he said, from when I first became your rep, you were at the lower list of boutiques in the nation. Mm-hmm. And now you're towards the top of that list. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And from what you came from that time, let alone what you did before, mm-hmm. but from that time, whatever, 2015 to 2022 or 21, mm-hmm. when I got the call, he was like, it's been a complete 180. And he was like, Jordan Brand is taking notice of that, man. They're doing this program called International Flight Club. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to run for a couple of years, a couple of different shoes, and you're the inaugural release with 2 other stores from around the world. I think it was a store in the Philippines and a store in South Africa. Yep. And but you're leading the North America, and I was like, whoa. And then then he was like, all right, but we got to start quick. We got to call tomorrow with the powers that be, and then you got to turn in a design in a month, in like 30 days or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, boom, got all my ducks in a row, called my people, my man Mario Butterfield, he's from Detroit, a legend that doesn't get the credit he's supposed to get. Mm-hmm. He's my lead designer on pretty much everything I do, and especially that project. Yep. So I try to shout him out as much as I possibly can, because like he was like literally a living legend, man. He worked with Maurice Malone, mm-hmm. and some of the reasons why some of Maurice Malone's product is there is because of him at 13, 14 years old. Mm-hmm. He was Proof's hype man. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like a historian of Detroit hip hop, and he's seen it all and done it all. And he's like the behind the scenes designer and of so many people and so many things that you probably see people wearing almost every day around here. So he's one of the GOATs, man.
That's fire. Yeah. And so Jordan, of course, is like that's the top of the top in terms of collaboration, especially for the work that you do. But you've also did collaborations with the Pistons as well.
Yeah, right after that.
Yep, and I got that T-shirt, or I got the Zeke shirt.
The Zeke shirt, that's the best one.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. So one of my friends is a huge Jordan fan, and then this is I guess it kind of all come full circle. I like the shoes. Not the biggest Michael Jordan fan as a basketball player. I'm biased. I like the bad boys. They're my people. So I got the Zeke shirt, and on the back, I was like, look at what Zeke did in single playoff run and all the teams he ran through.
We did that on purpose.
I love it. Because I said that to my boy who was a huge Michael Jordan fan. And I'm like, look at all these people Zeke ran through in one playoff run. Yeah. Like, you tell me when Jordan did that. Right. So yeah. The pettiness in me, I had to take the opportunity. But what was that like to work with the Pistons, and how did that call come about in that process?
That was amazing too. That was that came through Mitchell and Ness, but of course it has to get approved by the Pistons.
Right.
But it came Mitchell and Ness, who we've carried for years. They were doing this project, a city series, something project with like 5 different cities. Indianapolis, the Pacers was one. I think somewhere in the New Orleans was another one. I forget all the 5 cities, but Detroit. And then they was like, well, if we're gonna do Detroit, it has to go through Burn Rubber 218. And since 218 was just opening up, and that's the brand that it's like putting everything into. He's like, it's a whole capsule. They're gonna sell it at the LCA, and and we just kind of put it together. So we started thinking, being from Pontiac and like, the Pistons playing in Auburn Hills, and even before that playing in the Silverdome in Pontiac, it was like a dream come true, man. And just, they show the team and the powers that be over there show so much love. And they literally laid out the red carpet for us. Like, we were able to shoot the promo in the arena, which was crazy, which a lot of people don't even get a chance to ever step on the court.
Exactly.
We were all in the back, not in the locker rooms, but in that back hallway doing some things. And they pushed it. They gave us, kind of full freedom to do whatever we wanted to do. And it was another dope thing that was just special.
So in terms of those 2 opportunities, like working with Mitchell and Ness, and then the Pistons by way of that, and then also the Jordan collab, does it feel rewarding to be able to see how your work over the years has been able to culminate into, like, I wouldn't say that these are defining moments because you've been putting work in for years, but these special moments in terms of the opportunities that you're getting? Because I'm sure, like, if you think back to Little Row back in, high school, elementary, whatever, like, you're probably like, man, this is like crazy.
Yeah, and it was like, at that point in my mind, it's like, it'll never. I wasn't even thinking in that realm.
Yeah.
But to be honest, man, I don't. The Jordan thing was like, really that because that it kind of happened around the same time. Not the design process. The design for the Jordan was like a year. Like, it started in 2021, May of 2021. Ended up coming out October of 2022. Okay. The Pistons, Mitchell and Ness, we probably started in 2022, right? Yeah. So it was like, the process wasn't as long, but it ended up coming out, I believe, January of 23, or like in December of 20, like short, like right after that, a couple months. And my whole career, or my whole life, as far as in the world of design and just putting out product to the masses, from music to fashion, I drop it and then I move on. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a thing. Maybe it's for my mental health. I don't get caught up in like how many units we sold. Yeah. I just, when you tell me we sold out, sweet. Yeah. Who? But I don't get caught up in, like, even having people come to our show. Like, I be doing parties and the owner of the club would hit me up like, yo, we haven't sold any tickets. Man, listen, bro, don't call me with that, man.
You like, all right.
Oh, yeah, my bad, bro, okay. And then you show up and there's 400 people there at the show. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I don't get caught up in that. Yeah,
that's dope.
But one thing I can say about the Jordan and then the Pistons, Mitchell and Ness collab, if I sat, for the first time, I sat back and was like, whoa. Like, this is crazy. That was the first time I ever did that. That I sat back and kind of like was in the moment. And it might have been therapy though, to be honest. Like, my therapist at the time, was like, she asked me about, do I realize my surroundings, right? Like, am I in the moment or am I just kind of going through?
Right.
And in my mind, I was like, yeah. And she's like, no, like when you drive to places, do you find yourself kind of just getting there and kind of, or do you notice like the trees and the leaves moving, and not just that it's a car, but it's a blue car.
Yeah.
With a Caucasian person in it, and that car is red with the, you know what I'm saying? Like, or do you just kind of see cars going by? So I started at that time just trying to be in the moment and appreciate the moment. Yeah. And it was a little overwhelming, man, because I'm not like an emotional guy. And you know, as I get older, I'm big on feeling. Yeah. Whether that's crying. Like 2-3 years ago, I'd be like, no, I don't cry. Yeah. But now it's like a thing. It's not, you know, it's nothing wrong with a man. It's nothing wrong with anybody crying. Right. But I was raised to kind of be like, no, man, you cry when you get home. Right. You know, you lose that game, like don't show your emotion. Everybody else around me crying. I'm like, yeah. So I get home and then it's tears, crazy, right? Yep. So that was out. Like that was like one of the first times, like I said, I was able to kind of just be in the moment and like look around and be like, man, my mom is proud. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy to think about. But that was one of those times that I was able to do that, and it was that's what made it special for me. That's huge, man. To be able to sit back and experience and like smell the roses in terms of the things that you've been able to do. And interesting. I mean, this is very timely because I can identify with that, because I probably just breeze through a lot of moments and big moments sometimes and don't really stop to think like, man, you really like accomplished X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And like I took a nap over the weekend, and then I had a dream where I was just thinking about like, damn, you did X, Y, and Z in terms of your life and your career. And then like if the 12-year-old version of you, if you were talking to him, like he would be amazed and like probably come to tears thinking about the stuff that he would accomplish later on in life. So don't take those things for granted, which is like, you know, something that that's not a moment I ever really had like in a random dream or like just in general, something I know I need to do more. But like, I love how you mentioned that just being able to take a step back and like, man, this is crazy. Special. Yeah, this is special. Yeah. And so, you know, a lot of times it's being, you know, you kind of get in this space of, trying to be humble, trying not to like, you know, be braggadocious or these things where it's not really that. Yeah. You know, it's just like, if something is special, it's special. You know, like I started thinking like it's a lot of things that I've done that I've just breezed past or breezed through, that a lot of people that, you know, look up to me or like kind of look at my story that have or may never get some of those opportunities would literally kill for. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of was just like, oh, yeah, we did it. Now we on to the next one. And somebody said like, man, I would literally blow that person's brains out to be able to do that. Right. You know what I'm saying? So you got to appreciate that. For sure. 1,000%. So you mentioned your music, and I would love to know, like, how did you know that you were musically inclined? How did you get into music? Was it DJing? Was it rapping first? Was it MCing? Like, how did you get around it? And then, like, how would you define, like, your relationship with music, I should say? Oh, man, it's like my first marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, it started, my cousin, One Below, who's my favorite, like personal favorite, one of my personal favorite human beings. It's the only person that I ever wanted to be. I say that often. Like, you know, I love Jay-Z, but I never wanted to be Jay-Z. Yeah. Like, this is my older cousin. I'm like, man, he is the coolest guy on the planet. And like, man, I wish I could just be him, right? And this, you know, that was obviously when I was younger, but he ended up, he was my favorite rapper, you know, like just kind of growing up, because he was just so smooth. And then he ended up going to jail my senior year in high school, when I was my senior year in high school. And then he got out around the time, I want to say like he went to school. I mean, he went to jail when I was probably like a sophomore. He got out when I had pretty much was about to graduate high school. And when he got out, you know, he's still rapping, he's still doing his thing, but he had a plan. Like, he came out of jail with a plan. And, you know, I was kind of like, I started I wanted to start DJing. I wanted to DJ, but I'm like, who want to, like, what? How am I going to DJ, right?
Yeah.
And then I wanted to rap, but I had this fear of like standing up in front of people talking, public speaking. And then he told me, he like, listen, man, if you start DJing and always working on your craft, you could roll with me for however long this go.
Yeah.
And you're going to be my DJ. I got some equipment, and I locked myself in my closet. I had like this little closet space in my room, set my equipment up, learn how to mix, learn how to scratch, start DJing. And I just wanted to get better and better every day. And then when him and his partner, it was a group called Binary Star. They kind of just got moving, got in the studio, put a CD together. I started scratching on the CD, on the songs, and I was in the game. And then they were doing shows. I was just saying, some of our first shows were in Seattle. Like they flew us out to Seattle. So I was out in Seattle DJing, like meeting people. One of the biggest shows we ever had was at First Ave in Minnesota, and that's where they shot Purple Rain at.
Dope.
And it was crazy because I was terrified. Like literally, I used to use record like vinyl.
Yeah.
Before Serato and all these boards and stuff.
Right.
So I get to this place and we go inside, sound check, and I'm like, man, this place looks so familiar. I just couldn't put I couldn't put my finger on it. Like, I'm like, I feel like I've been here before. Yeah. But Purple Rain was one of my favorite movies. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, dang, man. So then crowd filling up, we in the back, feeling like stars. And then the promoter come up and he say, man, this is where Prince shot Purple Rain. I'm like, what? Are you serious?
Adding pressure.
5 minutes later, I had to walk up on stage. It's 1,000+ people in front of me. I've never been in front of more than probably 50 or 100. Mm. I walk up on stage and I had to put the needle in the groove. Yeah. And I'm literally shaking like this. Like literally I had to drop it and scoot it over to the place it was supposed to be. And then I looked over at my cousin and he was like, thumbs up. And I did the jigga and dropped it and all the nerves went away. Okay. And I haven't been scared on stage behind the turntable since.
Fire.
And that was, so that was that. And then I got to college. I got tired of, I got tired of people asking me to play songs. I got tired of requests. Mm. So the reason I stopped DJing at first, people requesting songs. To this day, I hate it. I hate it. Like, why would you go to that's like me coming here trying to tell you, like, hey, man, you should ask me this question. Like, no, bro. Let the man do his job. Right?
Let him cook.
So that, and then that was before Serato and things like that. So I was carrying 7-8 crates everywhere I went. Yeah. These heavy bags, these big turntables and mixer with all my boys. Just had a backpack because they was rappers. Mm-hmm. So I get to college and I'm like, I had my DJ equipment up there, and then we was just, we was drinking, smoking. And then my roommate, my crew of people, like my guys that I roll with, we would just freestyle. We get high, get drunk, freestyle. And then my cousin, who was my favorite rapper ever, comes over and just kind of walks in the crib because the door was open. And he never knew I was rapping or anything. And it was one of them blackout moments where I was rapping for 20 minutes straight. Yeah. And he just stood there. And then when I turned around, he was like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you rap? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, well, my boy, I'm not good enough to rap with y'all though. He like, man, no, why would, no disrespect to your friends, but we're doing tours. Like, why not build, you know what I'm saying? So from that, I'm like, and he was like, you're good enough to rap with me. And when he said that, I never looked back. Yeah. I started going to the studio, started recording, and it started off that people wasn't really taking me serious because they looked at me as a DJ. Yeah. And then I went to the studio with one of my man Decompose, who was our producer, and I ended up having more songs than the other rappers in my crew. I did like 2 mixtapes and whatever. Yeah. The other guys working on 2 or 3 songs. And I'm like, well, okay, who's the rapper now? Yeah. And then I was like, when I started rapping, at that time, I never wanted to DJ again. Like that feeling of being on stage with rapping was crazy. Like, and it went from, that was like 2002-ish to basically like right around the pandemic.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I kind of like, I had my run. I got gray hair now. I'm cool with, you know, at the time, if you told me you was a better rapper than me, let's find out right now.
Right.
Now, if you tell me you're a better rapper than me, I'm like, sweet, bro.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it. You know what I'm saying? And but my original passion, and I always looked at myself as a DJ that rapped. As crazy as that may sound, people say, nah, bro, I know you as a rapper, you were a good rapper and this and that, and you did. Like, okay, that's cool, and I appreciate that.
Right.
But in my mind, I was a DJ that rapped. And so I, like, sure, you okay, if you think you're better than me, cool. But
yeah,
pull these turntables out, let's get busy.
Right.
And then when the pandemic hit, you couldn't go to the studio, and everybody was DJing online. I pulled the turntables back out, and then I was DJing online, and I saw how so many people appreciated in that moment just the feel of real life again. For even if it was for like 45 minutes, because Instagram and Facebook was cutting you off every time you played, you know.
Yeah.
Start getting busy. But I saw how people appreciated that in that moment and how it made them feel, and it brought back that feeling of me wanting to DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, I don't want to rap no more.
Right. But you'll do a set in a heartbeat.
What, rap?
No, I mean, like, you'll do a DJ set.
Oh, yeah, I'll do a DJ set right now.
Right, yeah.
In front of y'all.
Yeah.
But if you ask me to freestyle, the answer is no, I can't do it.
That life has been lived already.
Already.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with my space, my place in it.
For
you
sure.
know what I mean?
For sure. And in terms of sticking in the realm of entertainment, so I've noticed that you've dove into acting and more recently, and I got a chance to see one of the projects that you were in. I can't remember the title. You were in the movie. It was had something to do with money, and it was the guy with the locks that was the co-star or co-lead.
Was maybe Cena H Block? Was it H Block?
It wasn't H Block. It was a movie.
Guy with dreads.
Yeah, he got locks. I can't remember his name. He go by King James. Or his IG is King James.
King James. I gotta look.
I might be mixing up two movies.
No, you might be, because
I might be mixing up two different movies.
If it's a person I think you're talking about, I've never been in a movie with him.
Okay, so I'm thinking about two different films.
Yeah, maybe Justice, where I was the uncle that was crooked, is like a terrible person, and then Loyalty Over Trust was like the movie I was kind of like the lead in.
Okay.
I had Quick Money, where we was like doing tax.
Quick Money, that's the one I
Quick
saw.
Money, okay.
Yes.
That was good with. I guess he did. Maybe he did have it. Big Bishop Don from Chicago.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, he might have had dreads. Yeah.
I'm mixing up two different people, but yes. Yeah. I saw you acting in that, and then I was like, okay, he got some acting chops. This is dope. So I was just wondering, like, how did the whole acting thing come about, and like, what was that? What was it like for you navigating that space? And you're continuing to do it. So how have you been able to build on that?
Well, it started years ago. I had these, my man Kamal, because we worked at Chrysler together.
Mm-hmm.
He did a TV show that was on like Channel 20, CW20, like,
I remember that
years
show.
ago.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it.
Yep.
But he hit me up, and it's funny because it was Sino, DJ, BJ, my man Hydro, and me. We was like a crew, whatever. And I had like one line, and I was like, man, that was kind of cool. But I'm like, I ain't, acting. I ain't really. And then I always went to his plays. My man Ron Dance was doing plays and doing movies and stuff. And I'm like, man, I can't even barely remember my lyrics.
Mm.
So how am I remember something somebody else wrote? And then I was like, when McGraw-Ave hit, my man Sino, I was like, dog, I want to be in that. I got to get in the mix.
Yeah.
And there was this thing of like, people were like, I'm sorry, not McGraw-Ave. It was some of the movies that came out before McGraw-Ave.
Yep.
Like Plug Love and I think 5-0 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, in that world, it's kind of like a lot of different things. Like you do, like this is what you do, right?
Yeah.
So when you see people and they be like, man, I want to get in the podcast, and you're like, what? Just holler at me, bro.
Right.
Knowing they're not gonna call you. Knowing, you know what I'm saying? Knowing all these different things.
Yeah.
Like, and then the next time they see you, man, I'm trying to get
You're right. Yeah.
Just hit me up. Here go my number. Right.
Yeah.
So I would do that, and Kamal, Thomas and T from Moolah Films and all these different people, Murder Pain.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, just holler at me, man. And then they never call or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So then when the pandemic hit and you watched everything on Netflix, that's when Tubi kind of hit. And I'm like, but it was like seeing all my friends do this, right? And I'm like, man, I want to get into it. So usually it has to be some kind of breaking of bread to kind of have those kind of people take you serious. Yeah. So I saw Kamal was doing the acting class. I'm in acting class. I don't want no special treatment because I'm bro spit, because I'm your boy.
If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
I'm in there. Yeah. If I mess up or, whatever, it went well, then I ended up doing Quick Money. That was like the first movie I did, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I just memorized lines. Okay. So I had no idea, like, facial movements and different things, like making eye contact and looking at this eye, not looking at both. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that you learn that I didn't know in that movie. It was just happened to be like good, like I did a good job, I feel. And then after that I did Mullah's acting class, and that's a little bit more in depth when it comes to acting and showing you these things and kind of pointing these things out. And then since then the ball's just been kind of rolling down the hill. And I got Street Legal, the first episode with Dennis Reed. Then after that, I can't even. The movies just kept kind of coming through. Yeah, and I've been wanting to take more acting classes, but I keep getting roles. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm also like studying on my own time, looking at YouTube videos and kind of just doing my due diligence when it comes to just perfecting that craft and being better at it. And mainly it's because it's not to pat myself on the back or kind of be that guy, but a lot of things come natural to me. Yeah. I just start, DJing wasn't like that, but kind of even rapping. I just started rapping. I started freestyling, went to the studio, started making songs. Like, yeah. And just everything, a lot of things that I do has been, and acting is challenging because of my memory. It's not, like, as I get older, my memory just ain't what it used to be. Yeah. And but it's also going back to therapy. It's also hyper focusing on something, kind of being in the moment, and creating these things, which is art. You know what I'm saying? So, it's that is the challenge to me, in that it didn't come natural. It's not a natural thing. So it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna be better next time. Yeah. And then I see the industry getting better. I see the cinematography getting better. I see the sound. I see everybody getting better and taking it up a level. And Detroit is like the best market when it comes to indie film right now. Urban indie film.
We set the wave. Yeah.
Set the wave. Like, literally, it's crazy. I've been in 9 movies that are out. And some of those movies I only had 2 lines, or I was just kind of in it and just like, oh, man, that was sweet, Rose in there. But I was in Tulum in the water. Me and my homie just kind of went out in the ocean, and this girl started looking at me, and I'm like, what is this? Literally walked through the ocean and was like, "You an actor?" Yeah. I'm like, yeah, Tubi. Yeah, I was just watching your movie, Loyalty Over Trust, on the plane. Come in here. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I've been some of the craziest places. I've been noticed for acting in far more crazier places than for like rapping or even fashion. Yeah. And that's kind of a dope thing to me. And I just want to grow at it, man. I don't know. I have my visions of where I could be, and but I don't really, is Hollywood a thing? If it happens, it happens. Yeah. I love independent Tubi film so much, man. I'm cool. I'm cool right here. If I never get there straight, but I have some visions of it. Yeah. But I'm so happy with where things are going right now with that, man. I'm good.
For sure. So I'm trying to figure out if you are close to, or if you already collected all the Detroit Infinity Stones, because you got music, you got fashion, you got music, fashion. What's the other one I was thinking of? Movies. I'm sure you got a mink somewhere. I'm sure you got some bucks somewhere.
For sure.
If you got a Cadillac, you might have all the Detroit Infinity Stones.
My wife has a Cadillac. I had a Cadillac. There you go. My wife has a Cadillac right now.
There you go. And then the bonus one. If you got I do Tamia Hustle?
I do, but I hate it.
Oh, you got Detroit Infinity Stones then.
That's the only song I don't play.
Really?
I do not play it.
Why not?
Because I think it has a chokehold on my people. Right. I think it is an amazing. It's an amazing song.
For sure.
I'm not like hating on the actual song of it,
Right,
but
right.
also it's a cheat code for DJs that aren't really that good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I feel
it's like, oh, it's hustle time. All right.
No, not even that. It's well, kind of. Yeah. It's like it's a thing where like I've seen DJs be at a party with hundreds of people and nobody moving.
Yeah.
And they know even for one or two songs, if they play the To Me a Hustle, people gonna be out there.
Right.
They're gonna do that line dance 47 times. And they're gonna walk off.
Yep.
And then nobody's gonna be on the floor for the rest of the night. And I just being straight up, man, I feel I'm better than that.
Okay.
I feel like there's some other songs that I don't particularly play.
Yeah.
This is how we do it.
Yeah, okay.
I know,
that cheat code.
And I just think that like it's a cheat code that I'm not going to participate in.
Okay.
And if you could see the people's face when I say that I don't have the To Me a Hustle, yeah, you call yourself a DJ? Like, yeah, you've been dancing for 3.5 hours. You're going to hear that song Wednesday when you go out, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So at this Sunday brunch, if you don't hear it,
it's okay.
It's okay.
Yes.
You're going to live.
It's other songs.
But yeah, I refuse to play it. I deleted it off my computer.
Got you.
Yeah, so I can't even. I'm not gonna find it.
Yeah,
nothing. It's not there.
So if y'all let a roast spit function, don't expect to do this To Me a Hustle. It's not happening.
And don't ask for no request.
And don't ask
if
for
you
no
ask for request, I'm gonna straight up say no. Not like I got you and don't play it.
No, it's no.
Like no, I don't take requests.
Right.
And get back to my job.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta ask you, what's next? What's on the horizon? What do you kind of see in your crystal ball right now? Is there anything that you ladies are focused on right now that you can share with us? And would love to know what you got coming up next.
Yeah. So the first part of the question, what's like in the crystal ball?
Yeah.
Is the behind the scenes of the movie thing. Mm-hmm. Like my purpose for getting into it was acting because I really like acting. But ultimately, the real money is made behind the camera. You know, whether that's writing, whether that's directing, whether that's producing.
Right.
And I wanted to get in and be an actor and still be able to kind of sit back and study what these people behind the camera and how they're doing it, how you do it well.
Yeah. So
that from the writing aspect of it to the directing, that's what's next. Other than also acting as well and doing more, like lead roles, things like that. But ultimately, man, I learned just with everything, when you create your whatever you're gonna be, right? So yes, it's cool, it's awesome, and very grateful to be in all these people's movies, that have given me these chances. But ultimately, there's stories that I want to tell, and there's ways that I kind of want to see it because I know what I like. And that's next. Then also growing in the space of design and fashion.
Yep.
2027 is my 20th year in the game, which is crazy to even think about.
Yeah.
Because I still feel like I'm fresh in it and new. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to do some major things for 2027 with some major brands. Just like as far as collaboration goes. So I'm kind of starting to work on that. And then like I'm big on mental health, man. I don't want to sound like I've been preaching, but I just know over the last couple of years when I kind of started the pandemic was major.
Yeah.
I know for a lot of people, but definitely for me.
Yeah.
And it's done a lot for me. And I the people that I love, I try to kind of push that way because I just feel as being a human, you need to kind of talk to somebody, right? You need some level of therapy.
For sure.
Being a Black person, you need therapy. Being a Black woman, you need being a Black man, being a Black child, being a Black adult. Like it's so many levels to it that it's like it's beneficial. And it's like for so long I had this excuse to I had to have a Black male therapist that was older and knowing that it's not a lot of those kind of people. Yeah. So I wouldn't be going to therapy, right? And then one of my homies, I was in LA and my homie Mark and Sanam, they're a married couple I've known for forever. they've been going to therapy since they were kids, like both of them. I think before they even knew each other. And one of the things we were talking about, I had a cousin that was murdered. I think I was like 16 or something like that. And in my mind, I was hurt, but it's like I put this something in my brain to kind of like cut it off of like, well, that's kind of what happened in the hood, man. Yeah, it just happened to be my cousin. You know what I'm saying? And like never really kind of dealt with it, right? But I realized, my man Mark made me realize, and issues with my father, that I didn't, it's like, man, most of my boys didn't have their pops, right?
Yeah.
And he made me realize that for some years, I talked about them in my music, not even it was just like natural. My papa told me this, but not even noticing that I was doing it, but it made me look back and say like, wow. And he was like, yeah, man, like your cousin, like having a family member being murdered isn't normal.
Right.
Maybe it's normal in certain pockets, certain areas, whatever, but like
generally that's not normal.
My cousin didn't get murdered, dog. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, he was like, that's trauma. Cause I was with the conversation was like, I don't have no trauma, man. I'm good.
Right.
It's like, no, your father went to jail for years, man, and you weren't able to do these things. Then he passed and you weren't able to have these conversations with him. That's trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This, that, and third. So I'm like, wow. And then he said, a lot of times what you're looking for in a therapist, you need it might not be bad to have a white woman
different
as your therapist to tell you like, nah, bro, where I'm from, people don't just get killed. Like people go to college and graduate with honors and like not saying that's normal, you know what I'm saying, but there's a different way.
Yeah.
And then I met a super dope therapist, kind of just on a tour of a hotel. I can't think of the name of the hotel. It was right around the corner.
Okay.
And another guy I know was just in the basement of this hotel at this little golf simulator thing. Mm. And I was like, what you doing here, man? He's like, we got like a young entrepreneur thing, whatever. And I do this and she's a therapist. And I'm like, oh, I've been looking for a therapist. And I've been rocking with her ever since.
That's fire.
Yeah. And now she's both of my daughter's therapists too.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Dope. Tiffany Fairley.
And I appreciate you bringing up that point in terms of mental health and therapy, pushing people that way, because I think I go to therapy myself. So I think it's very important for people to invest in that for themselves, Black men specifically, just because of how we're raised 9 times out of 10 in the environments that we come from. So I definitely appreciate you sharing that. And then, of course, I got to let you know, if you need any models for 218, I'm around. If you need any background people for some movies, I'm around, hit me up. No. If anything fall off the truck at 211, also, hit my line, size 10, double XL shirts or what have you. But I'm around for that as well. So, Ro, where can the good people find you? What's your socials, your website, all that good stuff?
So we got websites is burnrubbersneakers.com and then 218.com, TWO18.com. Instagram is shop218. I'm sorry. The website is burnrubberdetroit.com. The Instagram page is Burn Rubber Sneakers. And then also me, Ro_spit. And that's pretty much it, man. You can find anything I got going on between those places. Also we got the collective. Excuse me. We got the collective called The Secret Garden, and that's my entertainment with my man Ron Dance. I'm the DJ, he the host, and then also my sister. I taught my sister how to do my little sister how to DJ. Mm-hmm. She's super dope. DJ Coit Denise. She's like one of my favorites. My man DJ Ray, who's the Lions DJ and used to be on the radio and everything, one of the GOATs. Mm-hmm. And then my man 6 a.m. and then our photographer Trilogy Beats. And that's the Secret Garden Collective. And that's kind of like what all my efforts and everything is into, man. So between those things, you could kind of find out what I got going on with everything.
For sure. But I really appreciate you stopping by the podcast today, man. This was super dope to be able to learn more about your experiences and your background and being able to hear the story from the man himself. It was really cool. So thank you, man.
Thanks for having me,
coming on.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And everybody watching and listening, make sure that y'all tap in with previous episodes and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, tap in with Ro, and we'll see y'all soon. Peace.